So we started with the user defined data type, right? And we have seen how to basically define the class. So first we define the class with the hard-coded values. Then we define the class with the constructor. And then we have basically seen the class level variables or so let's see. I will quickly take one more example to explain you this, right? What is class level variable? What is instance variable? And how to update class level variable or instance variable. Yeah. So let's say if I have a class as bank and this class bank gf underscore underscore init, where this says account name, account number, and balance has three values to set. Okay. I'm audible?
Yes.
Yes.
And let if I can set these three values, right? So this is what I'm setting on the instance variables, right? So so this is account name, account number, and balance. And self dot account name equal to account name. Oh, here self dot account number equal to account number and self dot balance equal to balance. So these three values I have set. Apart from these three values, I'm basically tracking the transactions. So I'm saying self dot transactions. These transactions, let's say I'm setting the value to blank list. Okay. So so this is basically setting the account name, account number, balance, and the self dot transaction. Then you have, let's say for example here, let's say here I am setting country equal to or city for the bank equal to, let's say Pune. Now this is basically a class level variable, level variable. So what is the reason we basically have the class level variable? So the reason we have class level variable is basically to have common value across all the objects. Okay, so this is instance variable which will be different for every user. And let's say this is one class level variable which basically we have for we want to have common for across all the objects, right? Here you can have is DEF deposit method. Now when someone is depositing the money, he will be basically having a certain amount to deposit, and then you have to increase the value of what? Balance. So your balance value will be self dot balance equal to self dot balance plus, it should increase, right? Plus amount. At the same time, when you deposit something, an entry should be going into transactions, right? So these dot transactions equal to So this is a list, right? So you need to add something to the list. So append is the method. Okay. So these dot transaction dot append. What we need to append? The amount, right? So whatever the amount he has for the deposit. Not these dot, it should be self dot. Okay. So this is one thing. Another method we can have in the bank will be withdrawal. So you say withdrawal. When you basically do withdrawal operation, you need to check the whether the particular person has that much of amount, right? So if self dot balance is greater than amount, then only you should allow him to withdraw, right? So then self dot balance equal to self dot balance minus amount. Okay. And again, our entry should be going into transactions table, not append, but this time the entry should be minus amount because we are basically withdrawing the value. Yeah. So this will be a minus entry this time, a negative entry. This much is clear. And let's say both of this method at last returns me the updated balance value. So I can say return self dot balance, and also this also returns me self dot balance. Okay. Apart from this, let's say if I want to update the class level variable someday, I can basically have class method. I can say define update city self dot update self dot city. So class level city we need to update, right? So basically on the class level, and what we need to update also. Let's say we need to update the city with another city y, which will be sending from parameters of bank dot city equal to city y value. So this is a method which will basically update the class, update the city common class level variable. So this method basically is for updating the class level variable. Save. So now you can basically create an object. Let's say, for example, Chinmay equal to bank constructor. To the constructor, we need to pass three values, right? You say this is the constructor to which you need to pass account name, account number, and balance. So let's say and let's say balance. Let's say I have 1,000 rupees as balance, right? And I'll try to use the methods which we have written. Let's say, for example, now if you basically try to just print chinmay.city, by default, it will take you, the output should be Pune, it's Pune. But to the class level method, if you call it on the class level, you say bank.update city. And if you right click and run this, you should be passing parameter. Let's say I pass it Nagpur. And then you again basically called chinmay.city. Now the city has been updated to Nagpur. Similarly, you can call the different instance level methods, which are deposit and withdrawal. Let's say we try to first withdrawal more than 1,000 rupees. So if you try to withdraw more than 1,000 rupees, so this condition will be false. So I have to write the else condition, that insufficient balance, and I'm writing with the proper message, insufficient balance, insufficient balance. So here I will be doing, I will see basically calling on the method. So I will say Chinmay dot withdrawal. Let's say I try to withdraw 500 rupees, 1,500 rupees, which is more than my current balance. So I'm getting the message insufficient balance, right? And next time I try to withdraw within my range, let's say I have to withdraw 1,500. So this will return me the updated balance value. I directly print it. So it will withdraw the 500 rupees and it will basically, okay. What is the error? Self dot balance equal to self dot balance minus amount. Self is not okay. Self dot balance. If you right click and run this again, you will say the updated balance, which is 500. Let's do the operation for the deposit. Let's say I have few deposits. Let's say I have few more deposit transactions going on. 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's say if I want to see the transactions, so you can basically say print Chinmay dot transactions. So this will give me the list. The list will basically have the total transactions, right? But I don't want to see all the transactions. Let's say this is 1, 2, 3. This is showing me all the transactions. I just want to see last 5 transactions. Okay. So if you just want to see last 5 transactions, let's say I'm writing a method here. Okay. Last 5 transactions. So I'll say DEF last few transactions. So when want to see the last few transactions, you just need to return from here. You just need to slice that particular list. How you slice it? You say these dot transactions. Not this self dot transactions. Hmm. Yes. So you can call the method now, because now you are basically returning this last five transaction. You are just returning the last five. So you have basically starting range, not end range. It should not be end range. It should be starting range. So from -5 to the end of the list. So this is basically slicing we have seen before, right? Yeah. So let's call the last five transaction method now on this object. So Chinmay dot last transaction. And if you run this, right click and run this, it will only give you the last five transactions now. You can print it. So, so only last five transactions. So this complete program covers these things, right? Constructor, which is a constructor. This particular thing is a constructor. Along with the constructor, what we have seen, next thing what we have seen is instance method, instance variable we have seen. So what are instance variable? These are instance variable. Okay. Then we have see class variable. Then we have seen deposit. Instance method we have seen, which is, then we have seen class method, and then we have created the objects, creating objects. Now let's jump to another topic, which is static methods. So first of all, static methods, static methods are only for information process. Okay. So with static methods, we don't update. We do not update any class level variable, class level variable, or we do not update any instance variable. So let's say, for example, I have a class of employee, let's say. In this employee class, I am basically setting up the three instance variables. I'm setting up first name, I'm setting up last name, I'm setting up the Aadhaar card number. Now with these three, I'm setting up these three instance variable for the particular object. So let's say self dot first name equal to first name, self dot last name equal to last name. and self dot Aadhaar number equal to Aadhaar number. These three values I have set, right? Then here self dot, let's say display name method I have written, display name. And to this display name method, I'm basically printing the, let's say I'm printing self dot first name plus self dot last name, just printing the value. Now I'm basically creating object of it. Let's say how I like create. So let's say let's say I created one object. Let's say here I'm creating the another object. So second object is also created. Creating the object, I just need to pass the values. Say Chinmay, say Deshpande, and Aadhaar card number, let's say 456. So I have created two objects, okay? And these two objects will have these three properties and methods, okay? That's fine. Now I want to count the number of objects I have created, okay? So this is my scenario, that count the number of objects. So I have, and let's say, for example, also I have a class level variable, which is country equal to India. I don't want to update any instance variable. So I'm not interested in updating any instance variable, which is this. Neither I want to update any class level variable. I just need a information that out of this class, which is employee, right? Out of this class, which is employee, how many number of objects I have created, right? So if you see, so these are two objects which we have created, right? Okay. You can see here, right? Two objects are created. These two objects are created. Yeah. So let me define a variable which is counter equal to 0. So I have defined a counter equal to 0. Okay. So I have defined this variable, and I want to update this variable every time I need to create the object. Every time I create the object, I need to define this, update this class level variable. What is the purpose of this method? Basically, I am trying to find out the total number of objects, created from the created from the class. So this is total number of objects I want to create from the class. Okay. And the total number of objects which I'm trying to create from the class, for that, what I'm doing, I am basically defining a class level variable. So every time the object is created, I need to update the value. So this is a class level variable, so I update it with the class name. So I will say employee dot counter equal to employee dot counter plus 1. Employee dot counter plus 1. Okay. So employee dot counter plus 1. Yeah. Yes. And now if you want to display this employee dot counter value, I am writing just the informative method, which is at class static method. So I say at the rate static, define display object self dot self dot. So not self is not required. It's a class level variable, right? So employee dot counter. So now this static method, it is just an informative method. You don't update any class level variable on it. Neither you update any class instance variable in it. Like this is the not neither you update any instance variable, neither you update any class level information variable. You have set a counter. Every time the object is created to update the counter, and you are just returning that counter value. So now if I have created two objects and the static method, we can obviously call static methods, and class level methods we can call on the class name directly. So if you call it on employee dot, and which is the method is display object or display count of object, let's say count of objects. And if you call that method display count of object, count of object, so you see this, the value is coming out to be 2. If you basically had another object here, let's say I am passing another value. Now see the count number of objects created from this is basically 3. So this way you can use the added static methods. Static methods are basically used to give away the informations. Okay. So these are two programs what we have covered here. On this program, we have seen static methods. Static methods and static methods can be called as static methods can be called on class names. Let's say program 3 I am creating. So on this program 3, what I'm doing, I'm creating two classes and passing one class to another class. I am basically passing one class object to another class, not one class to another class, one class object to another class. Okay. Let's try to do this. So what you are trying to do here is a self underscore underscore. So you say class. Here class create into classes. So I say employee let's say employee B I will create. And now we have created employee B class. And now I'm setting up the three values. So underscore underscore in it, I have first name and last name. Let's say age and salary also. And I'm setting up the values for this instance variable. So let's say left cell dot first name. And let's say def, you have let's say display salary. And you return, let's say you said display info method there, and you are basically returning all the info. So let's say from here I'm returning print self dot first name, print self dot last name, print self dot age, print self dot salary. Okay. So let's say, for example, you have this class, right? I have created object of this class. Let's say so employee B. I have passed values to it. Let's say Avisha, age, let's say, and salary, let's say 10,000. So I need to pass this object to another class. So I have to create another class. So I will say my class just for now, or you say info class. This info class is basically having one static method, which is nothing but an informative method. So let's say, and this, let me call this method as display info basic. So this method is basically will be having one object. This is the object. So I will, when I will be calling this display info basic method on the class level, because we don't need to create object when we are basically calling out any static method. So out of this object, I want to print only two values, first name and last name. So I will say print self dot first name and print self dot, not self dot first name. You can say e dot because you have passed the object to it. So e dot first name because this is the object, and then you can basically call e dot last name also.
Just to say, this is like an alias name we are giving it to the values.
No, not alias name. We'll pass object. So once you basically call this method, which is info class, on this info class dot display info basic, I am passing this object. Now this Abhisha will be going into E. This object, this is the object which already has 4 properties and 1 method. I am passing Abhisha to the display info basic method, right? So it's again a reference we are creating to this object, and out of that I am just printing two values. I can also print this also, e dot salary. I can also print age, but I am just calling, and also I can also call display name method because that particular object is basically having everything, this Abhisha object. But I just want to restrict myself for these two values, right? So again, this example basically shows that the static method, we can pass the object of different class. So this is the object we created for the employee B class, and that object reference variable I have passed to the static method of another class. And I'm out of that, I'm just showing the two information. Is this fine? Is this clear to everyone? So when you basically call out, you will just be getting first name and last name. Yeah, these are the first name and last name. So tomorrow topic will be inner class. Inner class. So there will be two problems on the inner class. So once we are done with the inner class, we'll directly jump to inheritance and polymorphism. We'll jump to inheritance and polymorphism. Yeah. Thank you.
We upload yesterday's video and this one also.
Okay, I have not uploaded yesterday also.
No,
Okay, 9. Okay, I will check and upload 9, 10, 10. Okay.
Okay, thank you.